Hi guys, this is Vitaly with AFT Dispatch and A2C Logistics, and in today's video we're going to go over debt, the US economy, and ultimately what it all boils down to for the trucking industry. But first, roll the intro. Welcome back. Before we get started, I'd like to ask you to please like the video, be sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss a single release of our videos, where every Friday we're talking about something that could benefit you in your trucking businesses, in your trucking careers, as well as cover the loads we've successfully booked for our customers, consisting of leased owner operators and carriers operating under their own MC authorities, running under our truck dispatch services. As always guys, big thank you for all the likes you've provided in all the previous videos. Please do keep them coming, and let's talk about all these topics, the debt, the economy, where the consumers are standing in all of this, and ultimately where trucking is going. Guys, as always, took some notes here, and we'll start off with something that is little known in the world, that the US has a debt-based economy. Now, a lot of folks know that, a lot of people don't. And but it is fact, the US has a debt-based economy. If we don't spend, the economy doesn't expand. If we do spend, then it expands. So currently we're seeing a contraction in the economy, and the expansion of debt basically causes the economy to grow. And this is what we are not seeing, and we haven't seen in several quarters, or if in fact in several years. Now, people think that it's the Fed that actually drives the economy, and it's not the Fed. And ultimately, it's not even the consumer that drives the economy. It's consumer spending, but ultimately it's the banks. It's actually the banks that drive the economy, and I'll explain that throughout the remainder of this video. You see, as of January of 2023, so in this case last month, we were actually seeing weaker demand for commercial and industrial loans, and that's information for the fourth quarter of 2022. Now, we also saw weaker demand for all commercial real estate loans. Residential real estate loans also weakened, and we also saw a weaker demand for home equity lines of credit. Those of you who've taken them out, they're referred to as HELOCs, right? Home equity line of credit. So all of those have been weaker and on a decline, right? Now, demand also weakened on credit cards, auto loans, and consumer loans, right? So that's where the consumer steps in. Overall lending standards have been tightened, or at the very least remain the same, depending on which bank you're looking at. But generally, the credit standards, the requirements that a consumer needs to pass in order to be approved for a loan, those requirements have tightened. Now, banks expect changes in lending standards to tighten even further, for demand to weaken and loan quality to deteriorate. Okay. Now, historically, banks have always tightened, lending standards before the bubble burst. You can actually go back as far as 1994, and you will see that right before the bubble bursts, there's a tightening of requirements, and this is basically what we're seeing right now. Except we're just basically at the very bottom of the mountain. So what's ahead is nothing good, and we're at just the very bottom, starting out our journey into where the U.S. economy is going to be heading here shortly. And, we'll see that in the rates that we're going to cover. The rates are down again. So is the Fed doing this, right? No, it's not. It's actually the banks. As mentioned at the beginning of the video, it's the banks that are driving the economy. You see, in every case, we have an inverted yield curve. And basically, it's an important economic indicator of investor expectations on future interest rates, economic growth, and inflation. And this is the battle that we're basically waging at this point as consumers that are, shopping every day for groceries and, buying all their daily, necessities, right? People are not splurging, they're trying to save their money, but interestingly enough, consumer savings are lower than they have been. So, I've mentioned in the previous videos, consumers at this point, the majority, something around 76% of US consumers have less than $1,000 saved up for a rainy day. And this is not good. I mean, Americans have never been really good at saving. But now things are worse and worse and worse, and so people are just looking for one bad thing to wipe them out. You know, kid gets sick, has to go to emergency room, doesn't have health insurance, that's it, you're wiped out. Here comes bankruptcy. So not good. And you know, this is a determinant of the profitability of banks. So we're talking about the yield curve, right? So right now it's an inverted yield curve. So you know, ultimately, who's causing the recession? It's not the consumers. They're driving inflation. What's causing it? It's not the Fed. Yes, they set the baseline rates that banks use in order to lend money out to the consumer, to banks, to smaller banks, to other institutions, to mortgage lenders, et cetera, et cetera. But ultimately, it's the banks that are driving the economy either up into the sky or into the ground, as we see in today's world. No, so the banks are basically driving this recession. And ultimately, as normally in life, you have good news and you have some bad news. So we'll start with the bad news first. The bad news is that consumer spending is going down. Savings are going down. Consumers are saving their money as much as they can. We're actually finding statistics showing that they're buying generic brands. They're buying cheaper variants of the same products they were used to consuming on a daily basis in the past. They're trying to save their money. We're seeing that people are putting less onto credit cards. They're not purchasing new vehicles. They're really tightening their purse strings in order to retain as much of their hard-earned money as possible. Now, the good news is that this will lead to interest rates going down because the banks simply will not be able to afford this. Now, inflation is going to continue going up. The reason for it is because we didn't see the inverted yield curve until now, because we had a lot of money being printed that was given out in the form of stimulus checks, and then that money went back into the economy, so it softened the blow. That was a good thing. The problem is now we're dealing with the ramifications of this, and ultimately, what does it have to do with the trucking? Well, it's pretty straightforward, and we're seeing that already begin in the rates that I'm going to cover in the second portion of the video. But ultimately, it's this: consumers don't spend. That means less product hits the streets, hits the stores, warehouses, distribution centers, et cetera, which means that there will be a lot less volumes for truckers to carry this freight, which means that a lot more companies will have to either cut down their costs, their operating costs will have to decrease somehow. Or it's going to be just the companies that have their equipment paid off, or older equipment, or they've been in business longer. The new guys are going to really, really struggle. And so ultimately, you're going to have, again, an overabundance of carriers, an overabundance of trucks in the market, and a very limited supply of freight. And again, we're seeing that now. This is basically the fourth week of further deeper declines that we're seeing in the freight markets, at least in a spot market. And in previous videos, a week or two ago, we talked about the convergence of spot market freight and contract freight. So as mentioned in that video, and I'll dig that up, I'll leave a little card in the corner, you guys can take a look at that. But that's bad news also, because those rates are basically converging. So they're having pretty much the same battle. If one's paying $2 a mile, the other one's paying $2 a mile. Traditionally, that was never the case. So things are not looking good. I mean, definitely, keep your head up. Our guys are working really hard to get you the very best out of the market. And, ultimately, even with the rates that we're going to present to you in this week's video, a lot of the folks out there who are self-dispatching or have other less experienced dispatchers who don't really understand the market dynamics, negotiation skills, and understanding of, what's actually warming up, what's cooling down, where do I want to move this guy? Is this a good rate coming out of where I'm coming out, where it's going, what's coming out of where I'm going? There are a lot of different pieces to this, and the people that put together those pieces quicker, faster, better are the ones who are going to, have a finished puzzle at the end of the day sooner than somebody else. And I believe that that's our guys, because they've been around for a very long time. They know exactly what they're doing, and that's why we're able to get the kind of rates that we are. However, when the market goes down, it also affects us as well. It's just you're getting kind of the creme de la creme when it comes to the loads and the rates, even though the rates are certainly lower. So again, I know this is not good news, but just like previous videos, I'd prefer to say it how it is, so that you can make your plans, your moves, and basically adjust accordingly. In any case, guys, would love to hear from you guys in the comment section below. Make sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, hit the notification bell, and I'll switch over to camera. We'll look over the loads we book for our customers, and I'll see you guys in just a moment. Welcome back. Let's take a look at some of these loads. Again, rates are down. We're still doing good. For most carriers out there, for most owner operators, you guys can still make some decent money out there. So definitely hold on. Things will improve, but they got to get worse before they can get better. So let's start off with a dry van this week. It did an excellent job. Everybody's a solo this week, so let's take a look. A dry van out of Granite City, Illinois, going to Roanoke, Texas, with a 41,000 pound load of food product, 2,400 cases of food products, 652 miles booked at $2,300, got them $353 a mile. Then Fort Worth, Texas, going to Walker, Michigan, with a 6,800 pound light load of coiled springs, 1,100 miles booked at $2,100, got them $1.91. And a final load at Ludington, Michigan to Tampa, Florida, with a 42,500 pound load of food grade anhydrous calcium chloride. Probably pronounced that wrong, but it's 1,308 miles booked at $3,700, got them $283 a mile, coming out to Tampa, Florida. Basically, that's it for the week. Solo driver, 7 days on the road, Wednesday to Wednesday, grossed $8,100 on their week, ran 3,060 loaded miles at an average of $265 per loaded mile. Great gross at $8,100, did an excellent job. The next one's going to be a reefer, a little bit of a different setup, lower gross, better rate. Coming out of North Sioux Falls, or actually North Sioux City, South Dakota, with a 1 pig 3 dropper going to Aurora, Colorado, Modesto, California, and a final in Stockton, California, with a 20,000 pound load, 16 pallets of frozen burritos, -10 on a reefer, 1,856 loaded miles at an average of $307 a mile, booked it at $5,700. Did a great job coming out of California. Then I did a quick local run out of McClellan, California to Miraloma, California, with a 19,000 pound light load of frozen food. It's a -10 continuous load, 648 pieces on this load, 441 miles booked at $1,000 even, got them $227 a mile, and that was it. They ran Thursday to Thursday. Solo reefer ran 2,297 loaded miles, grossed $6,700, got them an average of $292 per mile there. So excellent job. Next dry van coming out of Lubbock, Texas, going to Cactus, Texas. This was a Tonu truck order not used. We collected $250 on that one. Moved on to the next one. Moved out of Seagraves, Texas to Dublin, Texas. Another quick local run, 44,000 pound load, 20 pallets of peanuts, 281 miles booked at $900, got them $320 per mile. Then Fort Worth, Texas, going to Jackson, Mississippi, with a 45,000 pound load, 23 pallets of beer, 440 miles booked at $1,000, got them $227 a mile. And they finished off at a Greenville, Mississippi, going to Hermiston, Oregon, a longer run, 43,500 pound load of Envy Intense herbicides, 265 gallon totes, 2,162 miles booked at $5,659. And that got them $262 per mile on that one. And that was it. Solo dry van, Friday to Friday, grossed $7,809, ran 2,883 loaded miles at an average of $271 per loaded mile average. So an excellent job there on the driver, on the dispatchers. Keep on keeping on. Next, we got ourselves a reefer out of Glendale, Maryland, going to Cleveland, Ohio, with a 42,500 pound load of frozen foods, running -10 continuous on this one. 376 miles booked at $1,180, got them $314 a mile. Then Fremont, Ohio to York, Pennsylvania, with another heavy load, 42,500 pound load of grocery products. 417 miles booked at $11.25, got them $270 a mile. Moving down to Manchester, Pennsylvania, going to Henderson, North Carolina. 25,000 pound load of frozen foods at -10 on a reefer. 327 miles booked at $1,000, got them $306 a mile. The next load ended up being a Tonu truck order not used out of Tarboro, North Carolina, going to Romeoville, Illinois. Never happened. Collected $150 on that one. Took the load out of Farmville, North Carolina. The load went to Cleveland, Ohio. 43,000 pound load of sweet potatoes at 48 degrees on a reefer, 636 miles booked at $1,600, got them $252 a mile. And they finished off with Canton, Ohio, to Black Mountain, North Carolina, with a 42,000 pound load of fresh chicken cases at 24 degrees continuous on a reefer. 501 miles booked at $1,500, got them $299 a mile, almost $3. That was it. Solo reefer ran for a week, Thursday to Thursday, $6,555 booked in gross, ran 2,257 loaded miles at an average of $290 per loaded mile average. Next, we got ourselves a dry van coming out of Rice Lake, Wisconsin. Going to Midlothian, Virginia with a 43,500 pound load of fertilizer, 1,178 miles, booked at $3,200, got them $272 a mile. Then out of Richmond, Virginia to Huntington, West Virginia, a quick little run there. 40,000 pound load of food products, 369 miles, booked at $1,100, got them $298 a mile. They finished off out of Lancaster, Ohio, to Plant City, Florida with a 43,500 pound load of roll stock, 983 miles, booked at $25.50, got them $259 a mile, which closed off their week running 2,530 loaded miles at an average of $271 per loaded mile. They ended up grossing $6,850 on their miles. Finally, a dry van out of Clearfield, Utah, going to Portland, Oregon, 43,000 pound load of basically palletized food, 17 pallets on this one, 738 miles, booked at $2,000, got them $271 a mile. Then out of Salem, Oregon, going to Tualatin, Oregon, I guess, 8,535 pounds, 21 pallets of metal displays. Real quick run, 36 miles, booked at $400, got them $11 and 11 cents on a mile. Then Tangent, Oregon, going to Odessa, Texas, 18,600 pound load of consumer goods, 520 cases, 1,766 miles, booked at $41.05, got them $232 a mile. They finished off out of Midland, Texas, going to Irving, Texas, 3,650 pound load, 15 pallets of kitchen modernization supplies, 349 miles, booked at $700, got them $201 a mile. And that's it. They ran from Tuesday to Tuesday, grossed $7,205, ran 2,889 loaded miles at an average of $249 per loaded mile average. And we're going to finish off with a reefer coming out of Memphis, Tennessee and Holbrook, Arizona. 2 pick, 1 drop, going to Blythe, California. It's a 42,000 pound load of Jinko 400 watt solar panels. We did this run last week. 1,573 loaded miles and got that at $3,350 booked. Got them $213 a mile. Then Waddell, Arizona, going to Johnstown, Colorado. 44,600 pound load. It's a beer load, 20 pallets worth of beer, 868 miles, booked at $21.50, got them $248 a mile. And then the last one was 2 pick out of Fort Morgan, Colorado, with looks like 3 drops going to North Platte, Nebraska, Fargo, North Dakota, and a final in Hopkins, Minnesota. 2 picks, 3 drops, 15 pallets of yogurt at 33 degrees continuous, 1,016 miles, booked at $2,200, got them $217 per mile. Ran 7 days, Friday to Friday, grossed $7,700 for the week, ran 3,457 loaded miles at an average of $223 per loaded mile average. So as you guys can see, the markets went down. We're seeing that for the 4th week, deeper declines, but our guys are still managing to move them around into better markets, average out, get you the kind of rates that you guys deserve, the very best that the market has to offer. So, get in touch with us. If you're not making this kind of money, if you're feeling the pinch in the market, if you're overpaying on your, lease on program, whoever you're with, or if your dispatcher is just not getting the kind of money that you are seeing with our videos week in, week out. If the market has it, we're going to get it. So get in touch with us by calling or texting us at 801-448-6363. Call or text. You can also get more information on our website at aftdispatch.com/go. You can also fill in the chat box that you see on every one of our pages. Takes 15 seconds. Put in your information. We'll receive it, get back to you, answer any and all questions that you may have. And until next week, guys, stay healthy, be wealthy. Take care.